I'll fight anybody. I'll spar anybody. I'll anybody up. He said some nasty things, so.
Jake Paul showed up at his press conference with so much fury and even more, a word for his opponent.
I'm in school, Perry. Time to go back to school.
Jake Paul isn't caring whichever Mike he faces. He once promised the older Mike a knockout, and now he's not changing his words.
Get W at Walmart.
Paul was originally set to fight Mike Tyson, a man more than 30 years his senior, in a controversial fight on July 20th that was bound to do huge business, especially considering it would take place on Netflix. That fight was postponed to Nov 15 after Tyson suffered what his camp called an ulcer flare-up that left the fighter needing medical attention during a flight. Rather than spend more time in training camp and wait for Tyson, Paul sought a way to keep his July 20th date. This eventually led to Paul settling on Mike Perry, the former UFC washout, who has since become the breakout star of the bare-knuckle fighting world.
That was weak. Pride, come train at Lando.
The immediate reaction to Paul's decision was for many to believe he was making a mistake, fighting an ultra-aggressive brawler who has made a career of busting up faces in uniquely violent ways.
Mike pulls off a win. How could that affect your possible fight with Tyson in November?
It's not gonna happen, man. It's not possible, so I can't even answer that question.
After all, couldn't a loss to Perry take the lucrative fight with Tyson off the table entirely? Paul told DAZN that he's aware of that risk. Paul seems to be keenly aware of the gamble he is making by fighting Perry, who has developed a reputation as one of the world's fiercest bare-knuckle fighters through his UFC exploits.
So, he's funny and all that, but there is bad blood, and Saturday night I'm gonna end him.
And although his focus is firmly on Perry, Paul understands that he is putting himself in some danger ahead of receiving the biggest paycheck in his life this November. A lot of people think I'm crazy for pivoting to this. Why Mike Perry? Why now? Why take the risk? You could lose the biggest payday of your life against Mike Tyson if you lose to Mike Perry, who is a violent killer, a bare-knuckle, undefeated legend over there, Paul told DAZN in a new interview.
No, Mike's been on a terror. He's in his prime. Make no mistake. He's undefeated in bare knuckle. He's beaten some legends.
He takes punches like they're nothing. He's fast, athletic, he hits hard, he's a brawler, and I can't take that lightly. This whole thing is a risk. I'm focused on July 20th. I'm focused on Mike Perry, and being in that mindset will lead me to victory. Paul has told DAZN and ESPN's Pat McAfee show the same thing. If he loses to Perry, the Tyson fight isn't going to happen.
No, Mike's been on a terror. He's in his prime. Make no mistake. He's undefeated in bare knuckle. He's beaten some legends, and that's great, but they're not me. They don't know how to box. They don't.
This whole entire thing is a giant risk, Paul said. I'm focused on July 20th. I'm focused on Mike Perry, and just being in that mindset is what will lead me to victory. So why is Paul choosing to fight Perry, who boasts a perfect 5-0 record as a bare-knuckle fighter? One word: showmanship.
They're not me. They don't know how to box. They don't have my power. So Mike Perry saying he's in his prime.
I need the experience. I need to stay active. I fear no man. I'm ready anytime, any place, anyone, and I truly back that up with my action. I'm here to become world champion. I've done everything else I wanted to do in boxing. I've exceeded my expectations, so that's my last goal. I will be the cruiserweight world champion, Paul explained to DAZN. It's not something I just say walking around. I'm just down to freaking fight, and I love performing.
I think his pressure is, a lot for someone to handle if they...
Paul understands the bet he's making and how easily it could backfire and set his boxing career back. The former YouTube star is going forward with it anyway, and it remains to be seen whether he can ward off Perry's challenge on Saturday night.
Don't know what they're doing, but he's not a good pressure fighter. People don't know how to take away.
Every step of Jake Paul's boxing career has taken place under a microscope. From thumping influencers, basketball players, former mixed martial artists, to his mixed results against real boxers, every business decision and punch thrown by Paul comes with a unique degree of attention. In reality, it's entirely unknown if Paul losing to Perry would actually take the Tyson fight off the table, for all the reasons the fight probably shouldn't happen. From Tyson's age to his inactivity over the past 2 decades, there are so many motives for the fight to likely chug along. Netflix found the live sporting event they wanted, with 2 big names throwing punches in a fight that screams, "I might hate it, but I have to see what happens."
exposing all of his weaknesses.
Next, Kevin.
You know, obviously it's not in the plan for you. Kevin Garcia with Fight Hype Jake. So obviously it's not in the plan for you. You come to win. I'm sure that you're sure of yourself in this.
The fight isn't a pay-per-view. It will be available for anyone with a Netflix subscription, which is more than 250 million accounts worldwide. AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas would likely be packed for Paul versus Tyson, whether Paul wins or loses against Perry. The name value and curiosity factor is simply too high, and Tyson is a beloved figure while Paul's entire career has been fueled in part by audiences wanting to see him lose. There's simply too much money to be made for all involved parties to think Paul losing to Perry would sink a fight with Tyson.
You can't get up in my face and talk that like these boys on social media. This is real life.
That could change if Perry knocks Paul out, however. As mentioned, many fans tune into Paul fights hoping to see him lose. His lone career loss came via a razor-thin split decision against Tommy Fury in a fight where Paul scored the fight's lone knockdown. It was satisfying for Paul's critics to see him lose, but wasn't definitive enough.
When I'm really in your face, I treat you like that. Nah, bro, don't get up in my face talking that mess.
It didn't overwrite the images of Paul's lopsided wins over Nate Robinson, Tyrone Woodley, Nate Diaz, and others. In other words, the idea of Paul versus Tyson is fueled by the what if of Paul facing one of the most devastating punchers in boxing history. Even after Tyson turned 58 a few weeks ago, many feel he has enough power to finally deliver the devastating knockout they feel Paul has coming.
I'm here for the W's. I'm taking home the money. I'm taking home the win.
Some of that steam would be released if Perry puts Paul down for the count. Paul's career has been carefully managed, however, and there are likely reasons his camp sees Perry as a good opponent for Saturday. Perry was somewhat undersized in the 170-pound UFC welterweight division and has been competing in the bare knuckle fighting championship between 175 and 185 pounds. The Paul fight is scheduled to take place in boxing's 200-pound cruiserweight division, with Paul having bulked up to well over 200 pounds in anticipation of his fight with Tyson. This means Paul will come into the fight with a 3-inch height advantage, as well as an edge in weight and strength.
This is his striking style, unlike almost a taekwondo style.
For all of the talk of Perry's devastating striking, the final 10 fights of his MMA career came without Perry scoring a stoppage and with a 3-7 record. Perry has 3 straight technical knockout wins in BKFC, but those have largely been the product of his bare knuckle punches, causing significant facial damage. In his most recent fight, Perry dropped 40-year-old Thiago Alves near the 1-minute mark of the opening round, and while Alves was able to beat the count, the fight was waved off as the referee didn't deem him fit to continue. Boxing gloves and different rule sets will make it harder for Perry to land punches, while also rendering those punches less impactful than in bare knuckle or MMA. Against a significantly larger man with more experience training for pure boxing, Perry's power may play far less of a role than many think. While a loss certainly is a possibility, the kind of loss it would likely take to get the Tyson fight off the table for Paul doesn't feel entirely plausible. That said, the only certain path to the biggest and most lucrative fight of Paul's career is simple: just get the win. In the lead up to the fight, both Paul and Perry have done their jobs when it comes to hyping it up.
We're in London, Michael Page versus...
But they may have taken things a step further recently when a video clip surfaced of the two rambling nonsense. The clip was taken from an MVP face-to-face segment that was shared on Paul's YouTube channel. On the Instagram post where it was shared, Paul captioned "Shout out to Hulk Hogan," which makes the video make a lot more sense. It appears they were trying to channel the legendary wrestler to promote their fight, but instead they seem to have bonded like friends more than enemies. Several comments on Instagram pointed to how similar their personalities are.
Let me tell you what they're gonna see, Michael Perry. You listen to me, brother.
That will all be thrown out the window this Saturday, but there likely won't be any bad blood between the two once the final bell rings. Perry made sure of that on Wednesday at the Paul Versus. Perry opened workouts when he knocked over Paul's mascot and ignited a minor stir after the mascot approached the BKFC star with a thumbs down during Perry's in-ring interview. The entire scene can be watched above and appears to be good fun. The mascot ultimately escaped with the help of security, although afterward Perry refused to say whether the situation was a work or a shoot. Man, I'm here for the W. I'm taking all the W's all week long. You can't get up in my face and talk that shit like these boys on social media, a fired up Perry said. This is real life. When I'm really in your face, I treat you like that. Bro, don't get up in my face talking about that mess. I'm here for the W's, I'm taking home the money, I'm taking home the wins, and I'm taking home Jake's head. Let's go. Paul faces Perry in an 8-round boxing Saturday at the Amalie Arena in Tampa, FLA. He takes the place of Mike Tyson, who many had believed was going to permanently end Paul's career.
How is the training camp going? Because we see the 30-second clips with Rafael Cordero and your whole team, but could you give us a little more insight into how things are going?
I'm doing great, but my body is right now. I'm really...
During their first press conference held in New York City in May, Paul revealed that Tyson's team had requested a professional bout just 1 week after the fight contracts had been signed. Weeks after the contract was signed, we got a call from Mike's team and they were like, hey, he wants it to be a pro fight for sure. He wants to put it all on the line, Paul said on Monday. So I respect Mike for that. And if he wanted that, I said, let's run it. Well, this bold push from Tyson for a pro fight is part of why many boxing pros smell doom for the problem child.
Tyson, what's your thoughts on Jake Paul? Mike Tyson, obviously Mike's someone you've got great respect for, one of your heroes. Jake obviously boxed Tommy.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic event. Anyone who don't think it's a fantastic event is jealous.
In fact, even in the heat of the build-up to his fight in a few days, Tyson Fury was intentional enough to make his bold claims regarding the matchup. Of course, he commended the idea of the match, but what he didn't commend was the possibility of Jake Paul giving himself a death sentence. He claimed Jake Paul was taking a huge risk, and he's allowed the comparison he's been getting with mainstream boxers get into his head.
Jake performing and bringing so many eyeballs to boxing. Someone asked me before.
According to Fury, a 58-year-old Iron Mike Tyson is as explosive and dangerous as a 20-year-old Mike Tyson, who won the World Heavyweight Championship title at the young age of 20, becoming the youngest to do so. But it wasn't just Tyson Fury. Other boxing professionals had comments to make on what the dangers ahead of Jake Paul looked like should he get into the ring on July 20th. But before we hear them, both Mike Tyson and Jake Paul had fierce warnings for each other, with Tyson telling him the friendliness witnessed in the press conference will be dead once they get into the ring. The official fight rules state that it will be a heavyweight bout where knockouts are allowed, but there are only 8 2-minute rounds.
I wanted the shorter rounds because I wanted more action.
That rule was specifically requested by the 57-year-old and approved by Paul due to the entertainment factor. This level of confidence is worth worrying over, but with Iron Mike Tyson, almost everything is possible. The two were largely respectful of each other, often choosing to praise rather than belittle the other. It was a far cry from Tyson's press conferences in his prime, and he hardly seemed to be taking it too seriously, cracking jokes rather than insults. Tyson and Paul smiled as they faced off for the first time, with Tyson throwing a few playful jabs at Paul.
Fight for stepping up to try to put an end to me, because that's what all these fighters have been trying to do, is end the YouTuber.
Clearly, they both know they're about to make each other a lot of money. It was a no-brainer, a jovial Tyson dressed in all black said. He's the new up-and-coming guy on the scene. I like shaking the sports world to its core, and I'm doing that now. It's just something I want to do. Tyson dismissed critics who are skeptical of his age and just how capable he still can be inside the ring. When Tyson was asked to respond to detractors who've been critical in his quest to fight the 27-year-old Paul, he clapped back with composure. I'm beautiful. That's all I can say, said Tyson.
Frankly, you are too old to be fighting a guy who's 28.
Well, I'm beautiful.
The people who said that I am too old to fight wish that they were up here. No one else can do this. Who else can do this? Who else can shut the sporting world down? No one else can do it. You got the both of us, so we're going to do this. We're friends. There's no doubt we're friends. But in the ring, we're not going to be friends. That's just what it is. Iron Mike further commented on how training for his comeback has been going. I'm doing great, but my body is in hell right now. I'm really sore. I wish I was playing possum, said Tyson. We're going to see, if Paul can take my power, Tyson added.
But could you give us a little more insight into how things are going?
I'm doing great, but my body is right now. I'm sore. I'm really sore.
But Tyson delivered one stern warning Paul's way. Once the punches start flying, will he revert back to his old self? No, I'm not trying to put an end to Paul. I really like Jake a lot, but once he's in that ring, he has to fight like his life is depending on it, because it will be. Mike Tyson's words, even while they sounded jovial, still carried the same tone of brutality and viciousness they carried some decades ago during his prime.
Is that the goal here? Are you trying to put an end to Jake Paul?
Well, no, I really like Jake a lot, but once he's in that ring, he has to fight like his life is.
Shockingly, even always confident Paul admitted to vulnerability and fear on Monday at the Apollo Theater in New York. "I know it's going to be tough fighting against Tyson," said Paul. "I know I'm going to have to fight through adversity. I know I might even go to the canvas. I'm scared, don't get me wrong. But it's not about the fear of stopping me. It's about going into it, even though I am scared. And that's what true bravery is." But Paul also countered his claim, saying, "I know I will be able to take Tyson's power," he said.
I asked him what he felt his best punch was.
He got back to his feet to continue fighting, but he was no match for Tyson.
And again, hey.
"I'm a natural-born heavyweight. This is what I was born to do. I'm going to show Mike who has more power, because he's underestimating me. Everyone else is underestimating me. I believe I hit harder. It's going to be a firefight and a sprint in there, and more entertaining for the fans." One major concern from fans has been Tyson's gas tank, due to his much older age, even though he is in incredible shape. However, that has been sorted out, as taking the rounds shorter allows for more action and less conserving of energy, something Netflix will be grateful for.
I wanted the shorter rounds because I wanted more action. If we only have 2 minutes, we'll fight more.
It's
going to
be
more action.
It's going to be a firefight, more punches, and it's going to be.
Tyson was asked during the press conference if he made demands when it came to the rules, to which he replied, "Shorter rounds because I wanted more action. If we only have 2 minutes with the fight going, we'll really be fighting more." Paul then added, "It's going to be a firefight, more punches. It's going to be a sprint, so it's going to be more entertaining for the viewers." The only other change compared to regular professional fights is that both Tyson and Paul will wear 14-ounce gloves instead of the usual 10-ounce handwear.
Pro career, down goes Singleton again, left hook this time. This boy is tough. Doesn't throw many jabs, comes in, works close, hooks to head.
Knockouts will still be allowed, and the result will be based on the judges' scorecards should the fight go the distance.
From a sharp right uppercut to the body by Tyson. Again, a double right hand to the...
Tyson barely ever went the distance during his professional career, with 44 of his 50 fights wins coming via way of knockout. He's a lethal knockout artist and doesn't appear to have lost any power in the training clips he has been sharing on social media.
Here comes Mike, spikes in. He leads to the right hand. Down he goes.
With 2-minute rounds in operation, he will be able to swing freely without suffering for too long between rounds, and Paul has his work cut out. "He was game," said Paul. "I think this has been a long time coming. We've been calling each other out for years, and we finally made it happen on Netflix, the biggest platform in the world. Things just keep on getting bigger and better. This is quite literally history that we are looking at over here. Mike wanted this. Mike wanted it to be a pro fight. Mike wants a war. So I respect that, and for stepping up and taking this fight and trying to put an end to me. That's what all of these fighters have been trying to do, and the YouTuber. And if Mike can do that, then he's a hero."
Me, and I believe that I hit harder. I know it's going to be tough. I know I'm going to have to fight through adversity. I know I might even go to the canvas.
There are a lot of people who see me as an arrogant dude, which I can be sometimes, but I am just having fun and entertaining the world. The older generation wants to see Mike knock me out, but at the end of the day, I also have the kids rooting for me and want to see me end Mike. They call him Iron Mike Tyson, but I am Titanium Jake Paul. "A lot of people are doubting me," Paul said.
Me, and I believe that I hit harder. I know it's going to be tough. I know I'm going to have to fight through adversity. I know I might even go to the canvas. I'm scared, don't get me wrong, but it's not about the fear stopping me. It's about going into it even though I am scared, and that's what true bravery is.
I see the comments saying, "If Jake wins this fight, it's rigged because of how incredible he looks. Age doesn't matter. He's a killer. He's a warrior. He's been doing this his whole life, so it's second nature to him. I've only been doing this for 4 years and at a super high level. On July 20th, I'm going to show the world that I can outbox Mike Tyson and prove everyone wrong, and show that I'm going to be the one doing the killing." However, all of these plans were shattered after Mike Tyson had an ulcer attack on a flight, making the fight get postponed till November. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.